Okay, here we have the Miss America version of the AirCore planes. Now I know it doesn't come with a radio. In fact, it doesn't even come with a power system because you need this power core right here. And this inserts in all of their different planes that are in the AirCore series here. Ah, handy dandy instruction page. They call it instruction manual, but it's just one page. Here is the wing.
Look, there's the two rods.
There's the two rods with the little magnets on them that go on the power core. We're going to have to find out how all that works. Every good production needs a prop. It needs some wheels too. Fuselage. Oh, I see they got some tape right here. That wasn't the plane cracking, by the way. We'll get into that later. There it comes. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to getting it out of the box. There's the wheels, and they're kind of a foam. They're just a black, soft, spongy foam.
Just take a look at that closer. Hey, they actually have a hub on them too. For a second there, I thought you were saying they didn't have a hub.
Flexible, foamy stuff.
Yeah.
With a little hook on it. Through the hole.
Maybe it doesn't pop off. Maybe it splits in half.
No, I think it's got magnets that's holding it. See that? Oh, there it is. See right there. It was magnets.
Yeah.
They're such strong. What do you call them? Neodymium?
Something like that.
And then, so that's all it was. It had this tab here and some 4 magnets, and it just really
clack
goes right on there. So it looks like you would hook these things in there. So I get them in those slots like that. All right.
Good thing they're not metal, right?
Then I put there's a little tab right at the front of the wing, front center, into a groove. And let's see how we're coming here. Looks good so far. Here's the 2 rods coming through. Push that wing forward into the tab and down, and there it is. So I guess that means if you crash, everything just flies off.
Yeah.
It's like an exploding aircraft. Now the wheels look like there's some little clip things here. It looks like you just slide them in like that.
Let's see that again.
I'll show you again because there's another one over here. So
close up. It's not in all the way, is it?
It might not be. There we go. Now it's in all the way. Here's the power core that in my previous video I already substituted the receiver on the power core from a Tactic to a Spektrum compatible, so I could use my Spektrum compatible radio. So if you want to know how to do that, you can look at my previous video. I'll put a link underneath this one. There's the original Tactic receiver right there. And then I've got a Spektrum compatible one on here. Okay, so now we got to see how this power core goes in. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just snap on the prop. Glasses on. But even without being able to see, it was fairly simple to pop it in there. Now we got to get all of these magnets to line up to the ones in there. Yeah, that core is not seated. Maybe
it's that new receiver's in the way.
No, I don't think that's it. Alright, let's take the prop off. Prop just pops off. There it is. Just didn't have it keyed right there. Now that snaps in. There. Here is the battery, all charged up. So before I plug it in, I'm going to go ahead and turn my radio on. Now I have previously bound this Spektrum compatible receiver, so that's already been done. And you can look at my other video for that. Now what I'm going to do is plug on these micro Deans plugs. Plug them together. And you could hear the sounds there. That's what you could get. You should go dee dee dee, dee dee dee. Okay, so now let's check it. Even the rudder's a little bit closer now. There, so you've seen it, the struggles of a newbie AirCore pilot. But you might run into the same little troubles, so it's probably good that you saw all my difficulties. Well, let's give it a thrust test. See if the prop flies off. And it did, as expected. Now,
That ain't it.
the little nubbin thing is
Oh, yeah, it is.
still on there, and this just slides over it. So let's break that loose. So this thing here is still there, and this is still there, but the nose cone went for a launch. Where did it go, John?
Yeah, that was nosy.
Well, apparently all that holds that nose cone on is a piece of what looks like rubber fuel line. I don't know if you can see that right there. It looks like there's a piece of rubber fuel line right here, glued into the nose cone, and that goes over this peg. So it had a lot of thrust, but it pulled the prop right off. So I don't know what we do there. Guess not rev it up too much until it's in the air, right? Okay, so I should be able to push this back in. There it is. And now I've got to pop the top off because I got to be able to hold the motor from going, or the pod from going backwards. They call it the power cords. Anyway, I got to get behind the motor here, otherwise the whole pod. You can put the prop on first, which is probably a good idea, but I'm already into it, so there we go. Now it's on there. Landing gear check to make sure it got that special boing sound. Alright, watch it. We'll see where it goes this time. Are you ready? Woo!
Something went flying towards my desk. Didn't sound like the prop or anything. It sounded like something small.
Well, yeah, it was the prop, but also the little peg came off this time. Okay, so here's all the components. Fortunately, the prop and the nose cone stayed at the bench, but the little peg thing here took off and ended up across the room. So I'm thinking the bottom line is you can't rev this thing up full throttle before you give it a toss when you're doing a test flight. I think the best thing to do is rev it up about halfway, give it a toss, let it get going, and then you're okay. Otherwise the prop is just going to fly off and you'll have no prop. So alright, let's take it outside and give it a test flight and see if we can do it. Okay, this is actually going to be my second flight. The hat cam was way out of adjustment the first time. I'm only going to go about 3/4 throttle. Alright, I'm up in the air. I don't know if you can see it on the keychain camera though. Now I got my rates on 70% DR and 50% expo on the ailerons and the elevator, because I didn't want to take any chances on mistakes with it. Here we go, I'm plugging in the battery. The wire's tucked down in there. Now let's just make sure everything's working. Okay, here we go, second flight. It's actually windier now than it was the first time I flew it. But the good news is the people cutting the tree left. I don't see any golfers. Feels like about an 8 to 10 mile an hour wind. But we'll see how it does. Now, 3/4 throttle, I found out was the best spot. There it goes. I'm hoping I can keep it into the hat cam here. I readjusted that hat cam. I don't know how it got so far out. I'm just going in a circle. I'm turning my whole body in a circle actually. And I found out that anything less than 3/4 throttle in this wind is not good. So on a calmer day I might be able to get away with less. But I'm not going to risk it. Alright, let's just see if we can do a loop. Alright. That loop should have been visible. Alright. Now let's try a roll. Kind of dipped down on the roll, but has to be kind of expected with this type of plane. Alright, let's try another roll. Yeah, it kind of does a little more of a barrel roll than anything. Let's see. It's doing pretty good. 3/4 throttle. It's very fast, but flies easy. I don't know if I'd call it a beginner plane, but it's responding to stick inputs fairly smoothly. I'm not having any trouble controlling it. Alright, coming around. Bring it in towards me this way. I'm going against the wind. Now that should be with the wind there. So, if I want to land, I probably want to come around, get down low here. I'm not going to throttle down completely this time. Leave a little throttle. Whoop! Oh, I'm going to have to go up again. I didn't like that. I wasn't down low enough. Now I'm about half throttle now. Ooh. Alright. I'm going to throttle back up. I'm actually going a different direction now. I'm actually making a right-hand turn. I can't believe it. Alright, now let's go back in my left-hand turn. I'm way out there now. Now that was about half throttle. It's trimmed out pretty good, you know, except for that rudder. It was pretty good right out of the box. Whoa! Well, I tried to break in for a landing. Okay, let's see what we got here. Well, I hear the, see, it pushed the power pod back in there. See how the power core moved back inside? So I think we can just pop it right back in. I glued this peg with some rubber glue. I glued this peg into the nose cone just to make sure I wouldn't lose it. I don't think it'll be hard to find the whole prop and nose cone together, but if I hadn't had that peg in there, glued and I lost that pick, I'd probably never find it in this grass. There we go. The battery isn't hot, but then again, you know, it's cold out here. My fingers are numb. You've got to have that power core in the right position, I guess, or things will be off. There we go. Let's see if it still runs. Yeah. But I don't know if it'll fly again after all that. That was a long flight. Let me just see here. Yeah, it's still flying, but not very good. Bring it around. All right. This is hard to get it to land just right. Well, we'll just call it right there. At least I didn't lose any pieces. Power pod stayed in place that time. Props right over there. I think we're in good shape. Let's go ahead and unplug it. I'm going to take that battery off too. Put that in my pocket. Looks like I got a little piece of grass around the motor there. There we go. Looks no worse for wear. I'm surprised the landing gear can take all that beating. But they do. Oh, power pod has that tendency to go back in there. Here we go. We're in good shape. Now let me see if I can stop the hat cam.